Are we?
We're not live yet, don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, we're live.
Here we go.
Hello. First. Hi.
Well, I'm Dylan Evely. I'm from South Wales. I'm a year 13 student, so I'm doing A-levels. I'm doing English Literature, Law, Media Studies, and the Welsh Baccalaureate, and I did Government and Politics last year.
I'm Min. I'm year 13. I'm from London, and I do Theology, English Literature, and Economics. And yeah, I'm known as the one I got the offer from Oxford, so I'm the Oxford girl. But yeah, hi everyone.
There we go, yeah. So we're talking about English literature today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had an exam today?
Yeah, I've had an exam. So if anyone's looking to do AQA English at A level, the texts I've done are Othello, Death of a Salesman, Keats, and then for the crime paper I do Kate Atkinson, Agatha Christie, and Coleridge. So you can tell everyone what you do.
Yeah, I mean, we did King Lear by Shakespeare. I personally did Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and Atonement by Ian McEwan, and The Merchant's Tale by Geoffrey Chaucer. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Seems like everyone's from GCSE here. Okay, hang on. Business studies tomorrow. I assume that's GCSE business, right?
Could be.
Probably. Well, I think I did business studies, but it was half the paper.
What, GCSE?
Yeah, it was more.
I did very different GCSEs to the A-levels I do now.
Oh, what GCSEs you do?
I did. Well, we have to do. I had to do triple science. So I did physics, biology, chemistry, English literature, English language, Welsh literature, Welsh language.
Wow.
Religious education, and then information technology, computer science, and media studies. Yeah.
That sounds so exciting.
I mean, it sounds exciting, but it's really not, because we have to do half those subjects. We have no choice really. Especially with Welsh, we have no choice. Often it can get frustrating, but it was alright.
So you have to do Welsh language and stuff like that.
Welsh language and Welsh literature. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we get taught English exactly the same as we get taught Welsh.
That's really, really cool. We didn't have that. It was either Spanish or French for us. Or history and geography, the usual. That's really, really cool.
I would love a European language, a modern European language outside of the UK.
Like French or Spanish.
Or German, yeah.
I mean, it would probably be fun if it was still A stars to G's, but now it's 1 to 9. I don't know if you want to do that for GCSE now.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, I don't know what it's like at GCSE. When I was in GCSE, it was level 1 to level 6. But at A levels in Wales, it's still A grade, B grade.
Oh, is it still?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. GCSE business. Oh, okay. I don't know Eve Bennett. I don't really watch study tubers. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Right.
I feel the popular ones are Unjaded Jade and Ismo, but I really don't know who they are. So sorry about that, guys.
We've actually someone asking if they should retake English if they don't pass literature but pass language. I think it entirely depends on what you want to do. If you want to do English literature at A level, I'd suggest probably yeah. But I mean, it all depends on what you need to get to that next stage. If you need literature to do what you want to do after GCSEs, then definitely resit it.
Yeah, I feel it depends what route you want to go down for English as well. If you want to go down literature route, of course, maybe you should consider retaking English literature GCSE. But there's English language A level, right? There is, yeah.
Yeah, there is, and you can also do English lit and lang combined.
Yeah. I would recommend literature.
Yeah, same.
Um, It's like fun to learn. The hardest bit is probably writing an essay. So, I mean, if you like writing essays, I guess. Did you get into Oxford? Yes, I did. Is Oxford for posh people or is Oxford for private school people only? No, I wouldn't say it is at all. It's a stereotype, isn't it? When you like see Oxford, it's like, oh, you know, everyone goes to private school, da da da. Yeah, it's scary when you go there. Everyone's like really posh. I'm not gonna lie, they're really posh. They know all these dishes on the menu. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. You know, shepherd's pie. Like, I actually don't know what it says. But no, I don't know if you've heard, but like they're cutting down on private school intake compared to state school. So they're actually letting more state school students compared to private school students. So that's interesting to note.
I'm going to UCL. If anyone wants to know, UCL. Yeah.
In London.
Yeah.
Have fun with all the expensive costs here.
I'm honestly looking forward to living in London for 3 years. It's an experience.
Really?
Like living in a massive, because I'm from the valleys. I see green everywhere, and I think it will be a bit claustrophobic in the city, but I mean it's an experience, isn't it?
That's probably exciting to you. I'm probably sick of London. It's too crowded. I want to leave to the countryside. Like when I went to like Manchester and Oxford, it was so nice. It was like the air was crispy. It was really nice. And then I come back to London and all I see is people. I'm just like, oh no more. I've always wanted to apply for Oxford, but I'm really held back from my GCSE grades. Do they pay attention to it? Well, I feel like this is not just for Oxford. It's for like university in general. Like how much do they pay attention to GCSE grades? In my opinion, I just don't think they look a lot into GCSE grades, whether it's Oxbridge or any other uni. Actually, if you didn't fail on everything, I do feel like they look at your predicted grades more, and maybe that's just me. Or did they look at your GCSE grades when they looked at like your offers?
I mean, it depends because I think it depends on what type of unis you're applying to, what you want to do. And what you want to do after uni, because if you've got a really good personal statement, that could often balance. Or if you've got really good references, or if you've done other things besides GCSEs, and there's always like applying for foundation years. Like I was going to apply for foundation year at Oxford at Lady Margaret Hall because they do this underprivileged foundation year. I guess that's how you put it. I was going to apply for that, and to be honest, I forgot to send my application off. But I wanted my gap year, so I'm glad I've still got my gap year. And, I'd rather be in London for all anyway. But so you shouldn't. I think the message is don't stress about it. Obviously, if you haven't done too good at GCSEs, then give you all A level. You might be able to bring it back up, and you can always take a gap year, and then when you apply after your gap year, you've got your A-level results, like concrete. There's no universities judging you up and measuring you up and guessing what you're going to do. You can tell them, look, I've already got my 3 A's or my A star 2 A's. You don't need to predict me. You can just accept me as it is. So, I mean, it all depends on how well you think you're going to do at A-level, how confident you are, I think it's very subjective.
Yeah, I just don't think you should depend on whether you should apply for university from your GCSE grades, because if you think about it, that's your past grades. They're going to look at your current A-level grades to make their final decision. So if someone wants to know what GCSE grades you got, I'll be comfortable to share that, or...
I got 4 A's, 9 B's.
Okay, I got... I need to calculate it because I got numbers. I got 2 9s, 1 6 in maths, I think 4 A's and 2 A stars, and 1 B in science. so I wouldn't say, if you want to talk about Oxford students, do they have like a kind of, do they all get A stars at GCSE? No, they don't. I didn't. And then after groups.
Go on.
Yeah, no, you go.
I was going to say my friend Alan, he got 10 A stars and 3 A's at GCSE, and then he got straight A's in the first year of A levels. And he's predicted to get 3 stars. And he got an offer from Oxford. He went to the interview and he didn't get it, and he didn't get in. So again, it all comes down to it's when you're talking about like the elite universities like Oxford and Cambridge, it comes down to the person just as much as does the grades.
Yeah. Because when I got to interview, I realised when I sat in my room alone at night, I was just like, hang on, they know all my grades, they know all my technical information. What they want to know now is me as a person and if I'm suited for the course. And that's when you realise your grades don't matter in the thing. Obviously, they might bring it up, like they brought up my Chinese grade, but like GCSE grades, they don't, look at it and say like, you got a D in science, we're not accepting you anymore. Unless, of course, you got like a cancer science or something. But it just your predicted grades matter the most, in my opinion, because that's what they think you're gonna get in English. And sorry, not in English, at A level. So I do feel like you should probably not decide on whether you should apply for a university based on your GCSE grades. It's more on how you are as a person and whether you think you can do it and meet the grade boundaries of that university. So what else is there?
What's the best tip in effectively revising A-level law? Right. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You just have to know it all. You need to sit down. You need to get your law textbooks out. You need to write down the notes 5 times before the exams if you can. That's how I do it. You do, because in law, you've got to remember so many cases, so many statutes, so many proposals for reform. You really need to be able to just pick them out of the air in an exam. Because if you're writing an essay, it's all good and well if you can, analyze a scenario question and you can deduce who's liable for whatever the crime or the tort may be. But if you can't effectively refer to statutes and cases, you're not going to get the marks because you're doing what any layman could do. You're not actually proving that you're applying the law in any question. And if it's an essay question, then you've got nothing to lean on. It's entirely based on your legal knowledge. And if you don't have that in your head already, then you're screwed. So whatever helps you learn best, I'd recommend firstly. And for me, that means writing notes out, rewriting them, condensing them. Some people find it good to test themselves. I hate testing myself. It just makes me more stressed and anxious, and I can do with less of that, especially coming up towards an exam. I'm trying to be as chill as possible, and it's also important to enjoy it. So look forward to your revision. Go, I'm going to learn about crime today. I'm going to learn about the law of manslaughter or murder, because law is quite lucky in it being quite interesting when you're looking at actual cases and you get to read real life events, just like in situations like you've got history. Is interesting because it actually happened, so you can actually attach. You can empathise a lot of the time with it more. So yeah, I'd recommend loads of note writing in full and in short. A lot of friends of mine help making flashcards, especially with just case names and code words to do with the cases that will trigger your memory. But yeah, it's not simple. You're not there's no cheats, there's no hacks into learning it all easily. You just have to put in the work. You put in the work, you get the results. Simple as that.
Sounds intense.
Not to disparage anyone from taking law, but I'm just saying it as is.
I mean, I don't think our school offers law, so that's a new thing I've heard. I don't know that was A-level law.
But it's not a necessity. To do A-level law, it's not a necessity. I know people who are doing law. I've talked to barristers even who didn't do law at A-level. I talked to a barrister who's in the Queen's Chancery Division. He's from Barry, and which is in South Wales, and he didn't have any A-levels. He just did BTECs and.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was a long time ago, mine. So he was able to get in. Basically based on nepotism, but it wasn't as if he came from a rich family. He just went to the interview and he did really well in the interview, so it had nothing to do with his past grades. And he did there's a way you can get a law degree, but you don't have to go to uni to do it. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but I'll let you do the research if you're considering doing that. But law is definitely not as rigid as it is with other academic careers. You don't need necessarily GCSEs, A-level, uni. There are other routes around. So don't be disparaged if you don't do lower A level, or if you're not good at academic subjects. You can always do BTECs and still become a Queen's Chancery Division barrister. So.
Like, isn't only option after school. You can do so many more things other than university, and you don't go to university for like careers and stuff like the barrister. He did BTEC and that stuff. He still got to go out. I feel like people shouldn't limit themselves like just going to university for like a degree. I guess that's would probably be like that, but like degree. Well, it's up in a back in the
got plenty of questions coming in. Fair play. Dylan, would you recommend? Is it even possible to get into Oxford or what? Well, I'm not sure about Oxford, but you can definitely have a satisfying and rewarding life, even if you go down the BTEC route.
I don't know if it's possible, but I mean, you can Google. I honestly don't know. I haven't heard anyone go for it, but yeah,
I highly doubt it's possible.
Mhm.
But I mean, in Norway, I was in Norway over the Easter holidays, and basically all of their subjects are taught like BTECs. Even the academic ones are still taught like BTECs. So there's actually, I think BTEC is probably a superior form of teaching, if you ask me, even for subjects like art and humanities. I think it's practical. In the end of the day, that's what life is. It's all practicality. Dylan, would you recommend to get related or not related in order to be successful in gaining a law degree at uni? Oh, it definitely helps. I've done I think 2 or 3 work experiences, law-related work experiences. I've done 2 weeks with my local member of parliament and assembly member, because we have the assembly in Wales. I've done a week at a law firm in Cardiff. So 2. I think that is just it, unless I'm forgetting something else. And I don't know if it's impressive to have on your CVs and your personal statements, but it's not. I don't know if it's essential, but it's incredibly useful. I'm sure that's the same in any field. If you're lucky enough to be able to have some work experience with an author, that would be immensely useful to something like English literature. I think it goes with the same with everything. And I can tell you personally, the experience I've had at a law firm or with politicians or people practicing law, it's immensely useful. It not only just gaining the insight, but being able to apply some of the law you've learned in class and really see how it pans out in a firm or in practice.
And it's also about how you write about it in your personal statement as well. So you need to be able to talk about what you've learned from the work experience, and not just you just went there and had fun and that's it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
What else is there? Honestly, there's lots of English GCSE ones, but I don't really remember much from my English GCSE, so I wish I could help you. I mean, I did a love and love poetry as well, if that helps any of you. So all these poems, I actually do know what you guys are talking about, but I just don't remember what I've done.
We did Of Mice and Men, my GCSE, and that I remember that. I remember hating poetry GCSE, but now I love it at A level. So.
Did you?
Yeah,
wow.
I love poetry. I like writing poetry. My poetry's terrible, but I think that's useful. If you want to get good at analysing poetry, try and write your own. Realise how hard it is, and then you'll appreciate even the rubbish. Even if you do a poem in lesson, you're like, this is rubbish. None of it makes sense. Try and write your own poem, and then you can appreciate all that ways. Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't think of that. It's a bit late now, but I didn't think of that at all. Let's see what else is there. You guys are having a nice conversation between yourselves in the comments.
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, I'm glad to see it though.
How do you guys revise for English literature A level? You can go first.
Right, so it depends on the exam. So for poetry, there's a limit to how much revision you can do, because if you don't know your poetic terms and if you can't analyse a poem, there's little you can do, because I think that's English literature exams are more about testing your literary ability and your analytical skills rather than your memorization skills. So you need to get used to having, I guess, an eloquent vocabulary, being able to effectively and accurately communicate your thoughts. So knowing all the literary terms you can is good. And then for things like Shakespeare, it's good. I mean, for poetry, again, if you're doing someone like Chaucer, where you've studied poetry, context is immensely helpful, because if you can't quite analyse an extract or quote, but you still want to make a point, context can be quite useful to really push you into that end to make the point. And then with Shakespeare, at least with my exam, we don't get a copy of the play during the exam, so it's essential for you to remember key quotes from the play. But apart from that, just remembering literary terms is so useful. You know, simile, all that, iambic pentameter, sibilance, all those, they're useful.
Personally, I don't, you know how sometimes people revise with like lists and flashcards and stuff like that. I just feel like for English, it's too rigid, because English is such a fluid subject. So I feel like what I do is that I separate all the quotes and all the techniques by theme. So in Othello, there's reputation. I forgot the other themes, but yeah, those are the themes. So I would basically memorize techniques and quotes within those themes. So if the question is about jealousy, I would have like a whole techniques and themes and quotes in my head already. And I tend to just scribble down like notes instead of writing it in order. I think that helps with English. It helps for me. But
I think that does help.
I feel like revising for English is really hard.
Yeah. Also,
frozen. Okay.
Reading is helpful. Like, read the books several times, because if you don't know the book, you're there's no hope for you. You need, and you know, if you don't like reading, why are you taking English literature? Because that's all it is, just reading and talking about what you've read. Like, so just make sure you read the play as many times as possible. When you're getting closer to the exam, there's probably not enough time to read the entire thing, so read key sections of the play or key sections of the book. And you know, you'll be able to retain that feeling of what it's like to read the book or the play going into the exam and have it fresh in your mind, so that helps remembering quotes as well.
Yeah, for sure.
To study economics at a top university, do you need to do further maths as an A-level?
Yeah, no further maths, but maths for sure. Not further maths, but maths for sure. I was going to go down the economics route, but I didn't do maths at A-level, and I just didn't want to limit myself to like certain universities, because some universities do want it, some universities don't. So I just ended up not taking economics. So yeah, if you want to do economics at top university, it's recommend you to do maths, because most of the courses are very maths based, so you're going to need math skills.
I think it's probably very useful. I got a friend who wants to do economics. He's not doing maths at A-level, he is doing computer science and physics, I believe. So as long as and he also got an A-star in maths at GCSE. So you know, for economics, you definitely need to be competent at maths. Whether you can prove that via some other A-levels like physics or computer science, use your prerequisite GCSEs, like having an A-star in maths, it's all useful. But you know, it's as the bird flies, as they say. Is that the same?
Yeah. It's very, I don't know saying. My English brain doesn't work right now. What else is there? This one's quite useful. When sending an email inquiring about work experience, do you attach your CV on the first email or wait for them to respond and then send the CV? I think you can answer this one, because the school found my work experience, so I don't know how to do it.
Right, so so I've had one work experience arranged for me through school. Everything else I've done, because I've had other work experiences that I've arranged myself. You want to, I'd suggest sending introductory email off the bat, just introducing yourself, and explaining your interests. Just get the ball rolling. Maybe send a few. If that doesn't work, it might be useful to get your school to email them as well, just to let them know that you're interested. And then if they ask for it, then attach your CV. Because often these sorts of places, they don't really care about your academic ability. If you're showing that you want to do some work experience there, they'll take you on, because it's not like they're going to be testing you, or they're going to be, requiring you to know any requisite information. If you want to do it, they'll give it to you. Most companies are more than happy to do that nowadays, especially if they're in struggling industries where they need to hire people. It's good for them, not only you, to know you, because they might want to hire you in a few years. So it's not like applying for a job. You just want to sound friendly and enthusiastic. So if you can communicate that without a CV, do it. If you don't have a CV, don't worry. You can just email them and just, get them to like you, and you'll be sorted.
And don't give up after like being ignored by one firm.
Yeah, no.
So many chances. Yeah, don't give up after one firm.
They might have just not seen it. It could be that simple. So I had an English lit exam, and for the poem it said to compare. I wrote about 2 poems separately. Do you think I'll lose a lot of marks?
Ooh, do you like write about them like separately, like analysing them? Because if you didn't compare, then you didn't do what the question. I sound so pessimistic. I'm so sorry. It's
done now, so we wouldn't want to make you too sad. But I mean, if the question asked you to compare 2 poems, and you wrote about them separately, what you're doing there is you're writing 2 separate essays, whereas they're asking you to write 1 essay. You'll still get marks, obviously, especially if you've written 2 good essays, but I think you will still lose because you didn't compare, like the question was asking you to. How did you find law work experience? Law firms don't reply to emails and everybody wants something in law. Also, do you send your CV in the first email? Like I said, I was lucky enough to have a friendly law firm, I guess. But email all the law firms in your area. You might have to go. I know when I was doing my work experience at a law firm, the girl I was with was from Gloucester, I believe. So she travelled a long while, and she was staying in Cardiff all that week.
Wow.
Just there, yeah. So it is quite competitive. So you need to just email as much as you can. If you can find like the email address, not necessarily find the email address, but if you can somehow find if you can get into contact with individual lawyers, and then they can talk to their firms, that's useful, because it's coming from someone they know, then not say just a random stranger emailing them. So don't be scared though. Send an email.
I feel like you should, for work experience and interviews, you need to be really assertive and be confident in yourself. You can't show that you don't have belief in yourself, because it will show through in the way you speak to the employer or whoever. So yeah, do be bold with work experience.
Most satisfying thing when burning. Most satisfying this when burning my. I'm assuming they're saying they burnt their Jane Eyre book and it was immensely sad.
Oh, I love that
Why
book.
did you do that? It was such a good.
Oh, I love. Jane Eyre is such a good book, guys. I don't even if you study it for GCSE, it moved me. It actually moved me when I read it.
So insulting. Jane Eyre is
I know.
Oh, that should be illegal. That's such a good book. You need to buy a new copy.
Yeah.
Buy a new copy and do it at least 2 times. You won't get it first time around. That's probably why you didn't like it. You need to read it at least twice. How is A-level English literature? Is it stressful? I mean, I don't find it stressful.
Yes. Oh, you don't find it stressful? I find it crippling. I find it very, very stressful.
I don't get stressed.
You're lucky. You're a lucky one. You can deal with the stress. I cannot.
It depends on the type of person you are, but stress is good. A certain amount of stress is good to motivate you, to make you do things.
For sure.
You get some people who aren't stressed at all and they're really relaxed and they end up doing terribly because they're so relaxed they don't revise. But if you're stressed, you don't want to be so stressed that you're too scared of opening the book to revise. You want to be stressed enough that give you that motivation. But always keep a positive mental mindset. There's no point being negative about it. Just be positive and happy, because at the end of the day, you're not going to die if you fail. It's just an exam. You're not going to die.
And again, you have so many routes after school, after sixth form. You don't need to think, it's do or end all for university. You have apprenticeships, and you can even go work afterwards. So It's doable. Do you do EdXL for economics? If you're talking about A level, yeah, I do. So I had my first economics paper on Monday. I had one today as well. If anyone wants to cry about that with me, I'm happy to do that with them. There's another law one. Wow, your law's popular today.
Isn't it?
What type of work experience would be beneficial in laws, specifically corporate? Are there any alternatives to law firms?
You could try writing to some Inns of Court. I doubt they'll give you experience because Inns of Court are full of barristers who are all working independently of each other. If you know someone in the family who is a lawyer or a barrister, that would be a big help. But if you're interested in corporate law, email solicitors, big or small firms. The small firms might be more accommodating, but the big firms might be more impressive on your CV. It's all give and take. But yeah, that's about it.
Did either of you study history for GCSE? If you did, how did you revise 1 week before your exam? Did you do English? Did you do history GCSE?
I did history up until year 9, but then not into it.
I did history GCSE. I did AQA. I don't remember how much I revised before the exam. What I did was that I did a timeline. So, for example, in paper 2, I did Roaring 20. So that's like racism in America and the Nazi Germany stuff. And obviously, there's a lot of timelines in that. So what I did was that I literally drew a timeline and I put the events in. And then under each event, I put evaluations and analysing chains in. So if any question was to come up about these events or any sources, I'll be able to talk about it in that way. And the easy thing is about doing that is that I feel like it's easier to remember stuff when it's in chronological order because it's more organised. So say a question comes up in 1940s, you just have to run through that imaginary timeline in your head from like 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, and you can think of the analysation for that, if that makes sense. That probably doesn't make sense.
That sounds really useful, to be honest.
Yeah. Top tips for being able to excellently analyse and evaluate exit questions in A-level economics. Okay. So for analysis, you probably heard this already. 5 chains, and make sure it all rate. It makes loans more expensive to cow, it decreases consumer spending. As a result, this happens. I think that's pretty much really easy. For evaluation is not the disadvantage of the chains of reasoning. Evaluation is not at all. Evaluation is questioning what you just wrote, so of liability wrote. So you could, evaluation of interest rates could be, do people actually to interest rate properly? It depends on if people react to interest rates. After that, you're actually if you're change of analysis, you can't just stray away from that. There's not much people can teach you about how evaluation is more thinking about what you wrote yourself and see how you can basically argue against yourself. That's what I do anyway.
There's a question on tips for English literature essay structure for A-level. We haven't got a lot of time, so there's one key thing I'll say, and it's a thing I remember since year 7 in GCSE. There's a thing called peeing, right? So you got to pee all over your work. Yeah, so you remember this. P all over your work, and the P stands for point, example, explain, right? So if you're ever making a point, make sure you explain the point and make sure you give an example, whether that be a quote from the text or context. Peeing will give you an answer structure, even if overall your paragraphs are too long or you haven't done a conclusion or an introduction. Your answers themselves within whatever mess you've written will be structured and make sense. So just remember peeing. Point, explanation, example, or you can do point, example, explanation, either way around. As long as you do your point first, then either an example followed by an explanation or an explanation followed by an example. You'll do fine.
Where we get to example very fine. Very quickly, you guys expect to be okay. So what else is there? 2 minutes left. Ooh.
Is there anything else?
Is there a live tomorrow? I don't know.
Yes, there is.
There is.
Yeah.
Um.
A lot of people are saying good luck with your exams. Thank you. Good luck.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Here's anything.
I think that's all the questions we've got. No.
Okay, I hope everyone's learned a lot about law today and English literature and
economics and
economics.
history. Yeah. I do have Instagram. It's just Dylan Evely.
If you probably go on the MSC's page and go through who they're following, you can probably find.
Follow everyone MSC is following.
I second that. This is
Yeah.
good.
Make sure you're following MSC though.
Yes, for sure. Follow their Instagram.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to leave soon.
Positive mindset, guys.
Yeah.
Don't get upset. Keep positive.